you are watching this video, you probably saw one of our billboards, requested a cash offer, saw us on TV, heard us on the radio, or possibly a friend referred you to this page. You're just here checking it out. I'm Blake Sloan, the founder of Sloan Realty Group. We made this short film to help you avoid the costly mistakes we've seen so many sellers and so many buyers make in the Myrtle Beach Grand Trend market, being the leaders here in this marketplace for over 20 years. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to avoid the shark realtors, investors trying to steal your hard-earned equity, or incompetent agents who throw your equity away and waste your precious time. Today's marketplace is very unpredictable. We want you to be equipped with the inside information on how to properly sell or buy a home right now. So if you're a seller or a buyer who wants to avoid the plague of lying, desperate agents or predatory investors, this will be the most important short film you'll watch to ensure that you don't leave the closing table feeling disappointed or ripped off. In this video, you'll learn about the 3 options you have, the 8 mistakes we see sellers make all the time, and the 7 principles we use to make every experience great. We've done over 7,000 transactions, $1.5 billion in real estate sold. So we have the data, experience, and wisdom to guide you in the right direction. We're the most trusted real estate company in the Myrtle Beach area. So I'm Blake Sloan. I'm thrilled to have you here. Let's watch it now.
Welcome to the official Sloan Realty Group documentary. Over the next 30 minutes, we'll take you on a journey to discover how Blake has redefined the real estate industry for both buyers and sellers. From the traditional old way to the innovative new way, we'll reveal the strategies and systems that have transformed the real estate experience. Whether you're buying your first home, selling a property, or simply exploring your options, this film will provide the insight and tools you need to take the next step in your real estate journey. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into a story of innovation, success, and possibility.
And some of the biggest problems I see that most sellers face is they don't know how to pick an agent, they don't know what criteria to use, and it's costed them so much money. And so many horror stories I've seen in my career over time, the people giving away $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 of their hard-earned equity. I've seen people lose out on properties they were trying to buy because they couldn't get their property sold. But really, I see people who think they have a successful home sale, not realizing they walked away leaving $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on the table. I see it every single week. And for people that deal with investors, we had somebody 2 weeks ago. She was 70 years old. She sold her house for $80,000 less than what it was actually worth to an investor who stole her hard-earned equity, walked away, and she didn't realize that until she submitted to our website and found out she had just lost 80 grand that she needed as part of her retirement. I constantly battle between the feeling of sadness, the feeling of anger, just watching so many homeowners make bad decisions and wrong decisions simply because they don't know what questions to ask, they don't know what research to do. I've been doing this 20 years and I haven't really had anybody ever ask me good questions or right questions that really help determine the quality of the agent that they choose. They always ask, what's the cost? And not really much besides that. They don't ask what the marketing budget is. They don't ask how many homes you sold in the area. They don't really ask about experience. And so many people make so many mistakes with their largest asset, which for most people is their real estate. And I watch week after week after week and hear horror story after horror story that we talk about in our radio show. How people give away their hard-earned equity, how the property takes 1 year to sell, and they miss out on so much time with their grandchildren, miss on time with their children, they can't get to where they want to go. And I hear these stories week after week, and we want people to know how to make good decisions, how to ask the right questions, and how to get the most amount of money for their home that they deserve. And because of that, that's the whole reason we're making this video. We've identified the 8 biggest mistakes that home sellers make that cost them their hard-earned equity, and we're going that step by step. Let me share with you really quick why so many people trust us to sell their home, and then we'll dive into the 8 mistakes. So before we dive into the 8 mistakes, let me just get straight to the data and the facts on why I deserve your attention. Unlike most agents who are just winging it, We have a proven system that sells twice as fast and for more money than traditional methods. We have a software that will show you with 100,000 plus active home buyers, which makes us completely different than anyone else. The fact is, most agents out there are just generalists trying to do everything themselves, and we have a team of specialists who execute at the highest level. And due to our unique business model, we're able to outspend the average agent 100 to 1. We've been doing this business here in Myrtle Beach locally for 20 plus years. And we have a team of 30 plus agents who make 15,000 phone calls per week to match up buyers and sellers. And we also have an algorithm we developed that help reverse engineer the most likely buyer for your property based on their previous search patterns. This helps us negotiate your house from a position of strength. I personally created the Guaranteed Sold system, which has been a pioneering solution for sellers in the Myrtle Beach area for 2 decades. And because of that system, we've sold $1.5 billion in real estate, over 7,000 successful home sales, over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google. We've been featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, Fox News, NBC. And with all that done, we've still stayed a local, white glove, bespoke agency with lots of growth. We also spend $100,000 a month in marketing on average, and it may not be that important to you, but we've been endorsed by many celebrities and thought leaders over the last few years because of our outstanding service. And I only share all this with you because the 8 mistakes I'm about to share with you come from a deep place of experience and care for this community that I care so much about. The shocking fact is that most people spend 20 to 30 years building their hard-earned equity and only 10 to 15 minutes picking an agent, only to give it all away due to their agent not being a true expert. So let's dive into the 8 mistakes that sellers make so that you don't suffer these same consequences. Number 1, they make the mistake of thinking that all real estate agents are the same, which could not be any further from the truth. Just like any doctor or lawyer, the agent you choose is by far the number 1 most important factor that determines your success or failure as a home seller. Number 2, they don't know what criteria to use to properly pick an agent. So they often go with the agent who promises the lowest commission, and often those promises are left unfulfilled. Number 3, they go with an agent who's a friend out of guilt, thinking they'll get a good deal because there's trust there. But in reality, what happens is their friend drops the ball. Details are missed, mistakes are made, and it becomes awkward because you can't have a professional dynamic, and the mistakes cost you your equity, and in most cases, cost you your friendship. Number 4, they go with an agent who's promising the highest price just out of desperation to get the listing, and they can't actually fulfill on that promise, usually resulting in either dropping your price significantly or wasting 3 to 6 months giving your house the stigma there may be something wrong with it. Ultimately, losing out the initial selling window and ruining your chances of getting top dollar for your home. Number 5, they choose an average agent. The truth is, the average agent in our marketplace sells roughly 4 homes per year. They cut corners to get the sale, their lack of experience costs you the home seller, and they simply throw you under the bus at the first opportunity just to put food on the table for their children. Number 6, they're not differentiating their property from the competition. Therefore, the only differentiator that you have is lowering your price, making buyers skip over the most important, attractive selling points of your property. Number 7, a mistake we often see is what we call a catch-22. When you list your house with the wrong agent, you often end up holding the bag paying 2 payments for 6 months, which is very expensive and oftentimes unaffordable, forcing you to drop your price drastically out of desperation, or you can't buy the home that you want to buy and you feel stuck in your current home. Frankly, this situation is very stressful. I do not desire this for you or anyone in your family. And finally, number 8, one of the biggest mistakes that we see is the lack of good, consistent, effective marketing and exposure. Because the average agent only sells 4 homes a year, they can barely afford to eat, much less spend any money in marketing your house to qualified buyers. How is that? Well, because the average agent is only putting properties in MLS, taking bad pictures at best, using no video, advertising, or any modern methods that actually move the needle. The truth is, most agents are stuck in the Stone Ages when it comes to selling your home, and the person that it affects the most is you. So real estate for me goes deep. I grew up in real estate. My whole family sold real estate. Mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandpa, grandma, entire family sold real estate. So I grew up putting signs out, my mom and dad at 2 and 3 years old. But they didn't want me to get in real estate. They wanted me to go be a doctor, lawyer. I was always fascinated with real estate. So go on. My parents got divorced when I was 17, and I instantly had to grow up and be on my own. Put myself through college, played football at Coastal Carolina, and 20 years ago this year, got into real estate initially as a team with my mom. And the first day I asked my mom, like, hey, what do we do? She's like, I don't know, we'll send some postcards or something. And she'd been in the business for 25 years at that point. And I knew there had to be a better way. And so I sought out, looked at different coaches and mentors, and found this coach who was a big marketing guru. He had a package for $995. Had a credit card at the time for $1,000. Maxed credit card out, bought the box, came in CDs, DVDs, devoured it. It was really new school. My mom was really old school. She hated it. We butted heads. Bought her out, started my own team, and everything grew from there. And that's where the system came from. I looked at what happened with that whole system and outside of real estate and built what we have today with the guaranteed sold system, and the rest is history. When I started building this system, I had so much massive resistance. I was a young kid kind of coming up. The internet was brand new back then. My entire brokerage, by that time, we moved to Remax, and the entire brokerage made fun of me, called me the internet kid. But what they didn't realize is we'd figured out how to geo-target buyers online in the Northeast. We saw that people from the Northeast were paying more money for properties in Myrtle Beach because their average sale price is higher. We targeted them, it worked, they came, we grew, and later on dominated. We saw so much resistance in the beginning because we were so new school and the industry was so old school. We created massive resistance, but later on the market changed and we became light years ahead of everyone else. But by that time, it was too late. Most of them couldn't figure out what we did. The ones that didn't just made stuff up. And the only thing that they could really do is make up stories. Actually, one of our competitors was telling home sellers that I had died. And 2 different times I met with home sellers. They didn't believe it was actually me because the person at a different brokerage had told them I passed away. And so those are the things that we face, but the system is so good and works so well, it blows away anybody that sees it face to face, even other agents from other areas. A lot of home sellers at this point are skeptical. They're wondering if it's a lot of hype, but once we dive into it and they see it, they become believers. Let's hop into it and take a look. So we've talked so far about the old way versus new way, old school versus new school. I really want to make sure that you catch this. So let's dive in deep and just find out exactly what we mean by that. One of the first things we talk about is why the old school model is broken. We talked earlier a little bit about 48% of properties in our marketplace, once they get put on the market, do not sell the first time on the market. So they go 6 months, 40% of the time they don't sell. And one of the biggest reasons we see that happening is because the average agent in our marketplace sells 3.6 homes per year. Let's say 4, that's 1 home per quarter. And in addition to that, one of the biggest things that we notice for buyers out there, and we'll show you in a minute the details, 48% of home inquiries on homes just like yours do not even get an answer from the agent. Meaning, a buyer calls on your home wanting to buy it, 48% of the time, the agent doesn't even respond. Let's break down exactly why that is and the biggest reason why. So the reason you see this happen most of the time is because you have one single agent who's trying to juggle all the balls. And so what they're doing is trying to work with buyers. A buyer comes in off for sale sign, Zillow, Craigslist, whatever it is, they're trying to get them as a client. Let's say they get them as a client. To sell them something, they have to show 12 to 15 properties to that same buyer. Well, to survive in this business, you have to work with 12 to 15 buyers at the same time. That takes 40 hours a week in itself. Well, in addition to that, they're trying to get sellers, listings, just like your house. They have to come to your house, do the details, give the CMA, let you know what it's worth, coach you on what to do to get the most amount of money. Then if it finally goes active, guess what? They have to do all their own marketing themselves, if they do any. Most agents don't do any marketing. If they do, it's pick me, I'm number one, I'm the best. Nothing that actually brings buyers to your property. In addition to that, they're also having to do all their administrative work, which is all the actual execution, scheduling photos, getting photos, putting it to MLS, writing the description, scheduling showings, getting showing feedback, which is all the things that usually get dropped first. And if they're lucky enough to get a contract, guess what? The same agent has to do all the contract to close tasked from A to Z, like home inspection, appraisal, contingencies, deadlines. And so what you end up having is the same person at McDonald's doing the front register, the drive-through, and the French fries at the same time. It's very inefficient, which is also why you see so many balls being dropped, and also why you see 48% of properties not getting sold the first time. And so in addition to that, what does that do for you as a home seller? Well, first thing it does, cost you massive amounts of time. When the 3 to 6 months is listed, the property doesn't get sold, and it gives your property the stigma we talked about earlier. The second thing it does, it costs massive energy that you lose as a home seller in your transition to the next home, and the energy you have to be able to sell one and buy one. The next thing you do, it becomes very, very, very expensive because you're carrying 2 properties at the same time, paying 2 payments, or you're having to drop the price of your property because the marketing is not being done properly. And the fourth thing we talked about here is massive amounts of lost time when you're missing out from being places like with your grandchildren, with your family, with a relocation, or into the next house that you want to be. That results in massive loss. This is the study we talked about earlier, where you see 48% of home inquiries did not even get a single answer. It came from national study. They had 384 different brokerages across 11 states, and they came through multiple websites, and the ultimate outcome was they saw 48% of buyers never even got responded to. So imagine you list your property with that single agent juggling all the balls, and you're thinking they're working hard on your behalf. 48% of the buyers that call on your property never even get an answer, which is one of the biggest reasons you see so much frustration from home buyers and so much frustration from home sellers. And this is something that you see across the industry. So let's get deeper into that here. And what's the option that you have? We're talking about the new superior way in terms of how we do it. We took that old school business model and we flipped it upside down. We took the old model where one single person was juggling all those balls, and we created a team of specialists. The last person you saw was a generalist who's trying to juggle everything. In this situation here, you have me as a team leader. I do all the marketing, all lead generation, and everything to make the machine run. We have 25 buyer's agents or buyer experts, and all day long, every day, all they do is they hunt. Their job is to make phone calls and do one single thing: match up buyers and sellers. Why is that? Because that's what we get paid to do, and that's what you hire us to do as a home seller. In addition to that, we have a full inside sales team. All day long, every day, all they do is answer phones and call leads back. We talked earlier that 48% of home buyers do not get responded to. Part of what her job right here is to answer every single inquiry within 3 minutes. And so we're able to take that, book the appointment, give it to the outside agent. Guess what? They execute at the highest level. In addition to that, we talked about the listing team. We have listing partners who specialize in listings. Both of those agents sell 100 plus homes a year. They're very, very, very good at what they do. And in addition to that, they have massive amounts of support. We have a full-time listing coordinator who makes sure every single detail is handled with your listing. Every single showing gets scheduled. Every single part of feedback gets sent to you on time, so we can make real-time adjustments on your property to get you the most amount of money. We have a closing coordinator who handles every single thing from contract to close so that you're not missing out on what's happening and you don't feel lost in the process. In addition to that, we have a full-time photographer, videographer who does drone work, video, virtual reality walkthroughs, so that we get you the maximum amount of exposure. And what this business model has allowed us to do is be much more efficient in our conversion, much more efficient in our communication, and it allows us to outspend the average agent 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint. We have to feed all these agents. They're making lots of phone calls, and they get bonused to match up buyers and sellers because we want to get both sides of that deal done together. So how do we do that? What's that equal out to? Well, this is what translates for you. Our team you just saw does 15,000 phone calls per week, which is much more than any single agent can ever make on their own while juggling all the balls. So we outspend the average agent 100 to 1. Why is that? Because if I was a single agent with 100,000 plus buyers, I'd be out of business. But with our model, we have enough people to call them every single day and match up buyers and sellers. Like I mentioned earlier, 100,000 plus active buyers. We'll show you how we do that. Part of how we do that is we spend $100,000 a month in marketing, and it allows us to have a massive funnel, bring it in. Their inside sales team does the initial reach outs. They answer all inquiries on your property so that you know you're not left out in the cold with buyers wanting to buy your property and someone missing out. We also have an algorithm which will show you that takes the 100,000 buyers, it reverse engineers which one's most likely to buy your property based on their previous search patterns. And also, we have pro video, photography, virtual reality walkthroughs where people can buy your house virtually. You can do a virtual walkthrough. It cuts down showings that are really looky-loos, and also it allows people to buy your property from out of state. We'll show you a little bit more about how this works, and we show you one thing we live by is proof versus promises, where we have here 100,000 active buyers in our network here right now as this minute, 101,810 active home buyers from all over the globe. It tracks our IP address, where they're from. This person's from Iowa, from Myrtle Beach, and it also tracks how many times they come to the website, which properties they look at. All these people right now are actively looking at our website, so you can kind of see a little more detailed. Our team follows back up with them. They make phone calls, 7 phone calls here, 14 phone calls here. We nurture them until they're ready to buy with us. And once again, we're going to use our software to match up these buyers and sellers. Other thing we talked about was the phone calls. This is a 7-day period last week. How many phone calls were made in our office to buyers looking for properties just like yours? Right now, we're at 16,647 phone calls just last week in the last 7 days. It's simply much more output than any single agent that's juggling all those balls could ever make. And what it does is it allows us to create more exposure for your property by making those phone calls. Talked about that part there. This is where the algorithm comes in. So not only do we have 100,000 buyers, I had a massive problem where we weren't sure which buyers to call, which ones to match up. And so here you'll see we have an algorithm that takes any new listing, especially yours. The first thing we do with your listing is we take it through this system, and the algorithm reverse engineers how many buyers we have that match the exact property. You'll see here where this property has 95 buyers that match that. This one has 732 buyers that match that property. This one has 247 buyers. And so we use this technology to reverse engineer the most likely buyer. The coolest part, they know who we are. They've been on our website for a while, and it's exactly what they want, which makes us much more efficient in how we advertise and how we match them up, because they know who we are and they like us, and so it makes so well for a great transition. Other thing here we talked about earlier, what makes us different? Part of that comes down to our service to our clients. We're the most reviewed real estate team and real estate company in Myrtle Beach. Right now we're over 1,000 Google reviews, 5-star. It's gone up since then, and this just shows the level of excellence that we live by, level of excellence of our clients, and the amount that we want to make sure we get the best result for them overall. Power principle number 1, strategic analysis. Any property that's put on the market without clearly defining strategy based on situational analysis is destined for failure. The fact is, most agents just list your property. They promise you the world to get a listing. Number 2, they put it into MLS. And 3, they pray that someone else brings a buyer. Meanwhile, they're down the street trying to get the next listing because they're trying to survive. We broke this down to make sure we reverse engineer the exact plan for you based on what your needs are, based on your timeline, and we navigate that critical point between selling it faster and getting you more money. Reverse engineer our marketing plan based on your past experiences, based on what you want, and based on data that help you win in that process. Number 2 is power position. And superior position in the marketplace is the key point of leverage for getting the most amount of money for your home. Because the fact is, buyers don't buy strictly on price, they buy based on value. And so what we found, there's this thing called price elasticity, where we're able to get your property sold for more money, regardless if the market's down or the market's up. We use this system to reverse engineer the most likely buyer for your property, and we make sure we match it to what we call buyer POV, because what we found is that buyers will pay a premium for value and convenience. If it matches exactly what they want and is teed up to match what their family desires, we found that they're willing to pay a premium. You just have to be able to market to that to help the buyer find it, understand it. Number 3, massive marketing exposure. Massive marketing exposure is the single biggest point of leverage and the most important part to get your property sold for the most money. The fact is, most buyers, just like yourself, 90% plus, go online to find their property. And so guess what? That's where we spend the most money. We want to make sure we get your property the most exposure on every single website, and we make sure that we drive the most eyeballs possible. I can't sell your property online. The only thing that I can do is drive more buyers and therefore more eyeballs onto your property, which increase demand and help us sell it for more money. This is the one biggest piece we make the most leverage compared to most average agents. Step 4, buyers in waiting. This is what we talked about earlier, but this is a key point because most agents do not start marketing your property until they put a for sale sign in the ground. With us, we've been spending $100,000+ a month every month before you ever called us, before you ever watched this video. And so we talked about, we have 100,000+ buyers right now looking for property. And so we're able to match your property up with one of our buyers very, very quickly. We have three main programs. We have maximum convenience, where we have a large investment fund that can buy your property immediately. We have the second part, which is maximum speed. We can match it up to one of our 100,000+ buyers, including full-time home buyers. Or three, we have maximum value, where we take this and market this out to our buyers, plus every single buyer out there on the internet and in the United States that may be looking for something just like yours. Power principle number 5, power negotiation. This is one of the biggest because 95% of agents cost their client tens of thousands of dollars by not having a proven, repeatable system in place. Like I mentioned, the average agent sells 4 homes a year. They're gonna throw you under the bus in 2 seconds just to try to put food on the table. With us, we found that most of the leverage, 80%+, is acquired upfront before the initial offer. That comes down to how do you actually set the property up? How do you position the marketplace to get higher offers? And how do we make sure we eliminate any surprises coming through the process? And we practically eliminate that through our system that we're able to show you face-to-face and how we do pre-inspections, we do staging, things like that to make a big difference in how the negotiation process comes about. And by far, we have this thing called D plus K plus E equals RAA, where our data plus our knowledge and expertise, we can rip apart the average agent. And so that's a key part there. We're able to create massive leverage for our clients, where most agents tend to throw you under the bus because they're desperate. Here, we're not desperate. We want to make sure we get the most amount of money for our clients. Leads us up to power principle number 6, which is leverage through a team. Every single mismanaged variable in the process cost you tens of thousands of dollars. We showed you earlier in the drawing where it's simply impossible for one single agent to juggle all the balls and be effective. And so with this here, we have a team. We know success in the details. We have a written process for every single variable in the process, backed up by technology where every single person is assigned a task. They own part of that process. And like I mentioned, we have a team of specialists who specialize in each part so that we make sure we execute at the highest level for you from A to Z, and nothing slips through the cracks overall. We get you things like real-time feedback, buyer conversion numbers, so we're not guessing in terms of how the process is going. We're able to make real-time adjustments based on the data and based on what's happening, not how you feel or not how we feel. And power principle number 7, by far one of the most important, is market expertise. You will never get LASIK eye surgery from a doctor who's done 4, but for some reason, people list our largest asset with an agent who averages 4 sales a year. And that's how you set yourself up for failure. And so with us, everybody on our team is a certified real estate expert. Everyone here sells 4 to 5 times more on average on our team than the average agent in our MLS. And so we have the best real estate technology industry, right? We're verified as one of the top real estate teams in North America. We mentioned earlier the old school model of the cassette tape versus the new school model of the iPad Pro. And that's how this system's broken down and allows us to make sure that we guide you and advise you from a place of expertise, not someone who sells 1 home per quarter. Here, we sell a house about every 15 hours, and it allows us to make sure that we have a real-time pulse on what's happening in the marketplace, what's happening with buyers, and how we can push the envelope to get you more money for your home. Wow, you watched the whole thing. If you made it this far, not only do you resonate with this, but it means you also have possibly been frustrated with other agents who've either overpromised and underdelivered, or you want to make sure you avoid the same cost mistakes I laid out early in this video. At this point, I've shown you data, illustrations, stories, and proof, which means now you can't unsee, unlearn, or unfeel what we've gone over today, which means you now have a choice. Your home is one of the greatest assets in your life. And I do not want you to leave this critical decision to chance or put it into the hands of an average agent who can ruin it for you. The fact is, when you're done watching this video, 1 or 2 things will happen. Number 1, you go about your day deciding not to step into this new way and hope that maybe selling your home using the outdated old school strategies might just work for you. Or right now you can find out exactly how our system will work for you, your unique situation, and step into the new proven way of selling your home here in the Myrtle Beach and Grand Strand area. And the good news is, it's super easy and risk-free to find out. The way you find out is by scheduling an appointment with someone on my team so that they can walk you through pricing, timeline, our entire process. It's free, no obligation, and by the end of it, regardless of the decision you make, you'll feel leaving more educated and more equipped to make the right decision. So, your next step is to schedule an appointment below, enter some information, and we'll get right back to you within just a few minutes. And if you're watching this and you've already scheduled your appointment with us, we look forward to seeing you and customizing your specific plan to get your home sold for the most amount of money and as fast as possible. Thank you again for watching our short film. This is Blake Sloan signing off. We can't wait to earn your business and help you sell your home.